Welcome to another edition of Turnbuckle Trash Talk. This is Talkin' Trash. I'm Marc Charles. This is Bill Alfonso.
What's up, Daddy?
Calls it down the middle, and he's got the best whistle in the game. Hey, you know I ref hockey, right? I want to know where you got your whistle from.
I love hockey.
Who's your whistle guy?
Paul Heyman gave it to me.
That's your whistle guy?
Yeah.
Hey, I need a good whistle guy. I had a good whistle guy in Canada for my hockey career for reffing hockey. I don't have a whistle guy in Florida. I need a whistle guy. If you're a whistle guy, let me know. Daddy, we're talking trash right now. That's what this segment's called, just talking trash. And I'm going to ask you a couple things that are kind of going on right now, and let's just see what you got to say about it, man.
All right, Daddy.
RVD, your good friend, Rob Van Dam, he's promoting a documentary right now called...
I love RVD.
Check out his documentary. It's called Headstrong. He didn't ask us to say that. We just love him, and we want to make sure you guys know.
My favorite wrestler. If he does anything, this is going to be great. I guarantee it. It'll be interesting, athletic. You know, he holds, he's in a Guinness Book of World Records. I was with him on the shoot where he does a split with two chairs like this. He does a split and he's holding up like 100 pounds, 150 pounds of weight with a split for so many seconds.
Jean-Claude Van Damme eats your heart out.
So he's a world champion for real, Daddy.
Yeah, that's right. Van Damme's got his head up his ass, by the way. Not Rob Van Damme, but Jean-Claude Van Damme. He used to be my favorite martial artist until...
Yeah, he was hot.
He was great. I love him.
Movies.
He showed up to a UFC gym 3 days before a UFC fighter's championship fight and showed up drunk 3 hours late to, he's supposed to go work out with him, and ended up kicking him in the face by accident 3 days before a title fight. So, Jean-Claude, you've got some work to do. So, RVD, the real Van Damme, the real Jean-Claude Van Damme, the real Rob Van Dam, he revealed recently in an interview where he was promoting his documentary, Headstrong, what Vince McMahon's advice was on chair shots. And he got into an argument with Vince. It's actually really interesting. You can check out the article and the interview online. Everyone wrote about it. Just search for it. And basically, Vince McMahon tried to be very fatherly, and that's the quote in what RVD said. He tried to be very fatherly and told him to put his hand up to block the chairs because RVD wanted to take the chair shots with his hands down just straight on his head.
But that's the mentality of ECW, that they want longevity and they're more showbiz, and Van Damme's a little more hardcore. So Van Damme might have taken it the wrong way. I don't think so. He's just sticking up for his belief, and Vince is saying, hey, you guys don't have to work that hard and don't get hit so hard in the head and take a concussion and, you know, possibly be out. You got to do this 7 nights a week for 3 months.
And he's looking
you know
out
what I mean?
for that,
so he's looking out. Van Damme says, no, I'm a tough guy. But I like Van Damme for sticking up for his belief. You know, another thing about Van Damme sticking up for his belief, like not an argument with Vince, but a debate. They, you know, at Christmas time, they go over and do the troops. You know, they take a big military plane, and you have the option of going or not going. You say, hey, you're invited to go. We would like you to go, but you don't have to. Van Damme says, I'm not going because, man, it's a fucking long flight. We only got 10 days off for Christmas, and it's not mandatory, and I don't have to go. And he got a little heat for that, but he stands up for what he believes in.
Well, Daniel Bryan's going through the same thing right now. He doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. He didn't go the first time, and the second time he's also opting to not go again. So hey, you have to stand up for what you believe in. There's
right, that's cool.
So Tampa, baby.
They're
that's
both right.
Where you live. You live in Tampa, Florida now.
Oh, yeah.
We won't give out the address.
My hometown,
I live
baby.
in Tampa. The man behind the camera lives in Tampa. And so does WrestleMania in the year of 2020 will live in Tampa.
Big, Daddy.
Yes, that's right. April 5th, 2020, right here in Tampa, baby. It's going to be at Raymond James Stadium. And it's WrestleMania. What did you think when you first heard that WrestleMania was coming here? And it's going to be about 15 or 20 minutes away from
I'm happy for Tampa Bay because it's actually going to bring in about $200 million in revenue into Tampa Bay, and that's just for our economy here. Probably, I would say, half a billion.
Do you know Ted DiBiase?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you invite him, we can get it up to $250 million. He could probably add an extra $50 million if we can get him in on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's big on the money thing.
Yeah, I'm happy for Tampa Bay. I'm happy for Vince, and it's right in my hometown, so there'll be a lot of activity for 5 days, maybe 7 days. The Hall of Fame, Monday night, Sunday night, the actual big event, all kind of independent shows and professional and not all kind of stuff. Wrestling, sports entertainment is going to be in Tampa.
Are we going to get RVD out here?
I'm sure he does a lot of WrestleManias. I did one with him, last one in New York City. We did a convention. It was pretty cool.
Very cool. That's very cool. And Tampa is a Super Bowl champion city. It's a Stanley Cup champion city. It's hosted 4 Super Bowls. It's going to host another one in 2021, right after WrestleMania. So it's a perfect town to be in. Plus, an XFL football team is going to be in Tampa as well. And I'm not here to pick, to assume anything, but I could say that I think that us getting WrestleMania so quickly might have something to do with Tampa having an XFL.
Yeah, we could, maybe with the sports.
Well, we'll have more on that some other time here on Trash.
That's political.
Yeah, well, we'll have more on that. I know there's more to that, but I'll get to that when we get. Yeah. All right, comparing bosses: good boss, bad boss. We're going to go through your bosses in order from your first boss as a referee in the wrestling business until your last boss as a manager in the wrestling business, and we're going to go good boss, bad boss. What made him good? What made him bad? All right. So who was your first boss as a pro wrestling, professional? Jerry
Briscoe, Dusty Rhodes, and Eddie Graham. Eddie Graham owned Florida Championship Wrestling. Dusty was the booker and who's hired and who's fired and called all the shots and was the producer of the whole state. And Jerry Briscoe was the assistant booker of Florida Championship Wrestling.
All right, so let's go through them.
First 2 bosses.
Let's go through them. Let's go through all of them then first. So Dusty Rhodes, what made him, in your eyes, with your experience, what made him, probably one of your best bosses, if I can assume?
Oh yeah, and this is known. I've said it 100 times. He was one of my favorite guys. He taught me a lot. He was real meticulous. He's very punctual. Taught me the ins and outs of how to be humble and do a great job, and why I became such a well-known and not in demand, but a real good ref is because I was trained by these guys, and I could run the show by them telling me what to do. Say we got there at 7 o'clock, I'd get 7 finishes. Who's going to go over it? It was pretty, but I'd memorize it and help all the wrestlers get through their matches. It was unbelievable what they taught me.
So that's what Dusty taught you?
Yeah.
Okay. And what made Dusty a tough, we won't call him a bad boss, but a tough boss? What made him tough for you to deal with?
He wasn't so demanding. He just, do your job. Don't fuck up. There's no reason not to do your job 100%. Mm-hmm. You're there from 7 to 11 o'clock. Be there, do your job fantastic, because there's 1,000 other guys and there's only 27 jobs in the state of Florida. If you can't handle it, go. But that wasn't a bad thing. That made us better than we were.
So what was the next promotion that you went to after Championship Wrestling?
I worked with Jim Crockett. Went up there for a year.
And who was your boss there?
Wahoo McDaniel, who I loved.
Oh,
and I know him from Florida. And David Crockett owned the territory.
Okay, so Wahoo McDaniel, definitely a legend in wrestling and pro football. What about Wahoo McDaniel made him a great boss?
Because he was one of the guys. He fought for the wrestlers, not so much office. Just a legend and really a good guy. And a beautiful wife too.
What made him, a tough boss to deal with? I've heard some stories, but we don't have to go down that way.
A tough boss because he was. He'd come at 7 o'clock and say we were doing, a 7-day tour. On the 7th day, it was like his first day. He's energetic, not a hair out of place, dressed nice. Let's go, and we were all dragging ass. 7 days on the road, that's pretty tough. Keeping up with him.
Okay.
And he was way older than me.
All right. So what about Crockett? How was dealing with Crockett? What made him good? And what
Crockett was corporate and.
So what made him? I'll just be honest. What made him an asshole? What made him good?
I don't want to say an asshole, but he was a little bit arrogant. He was rich. Maybe a little bit arrogant. That's what.
Did you like pro wrestling?
But he provided us with a bunch of jobs.
Do you think he liked pro wrestling?
I don't know. I think he liked being around it.
Just the kind of the camaraderie, the money, the fame.
Yeah, the fame. Yeah, he liked being a big star.
Probably got the overflow.
I think
weren't allowed in.
It probably was good to me. I made good money there. I have nothing bad to say about him. I mean, just a little arrogant.
What made him cool? What did you like about him? What was a good thing about him?
Paid us really well, more than the average guy, maybe 25% more. Say in Florida, I would make $200 a night. I'd make $300 a night, and
that's pretty good.
But the crowds were bigger. But a good payoff guy, paid us well.
So where'd you go after the Crockett promotion?
Oh man, Oh, went to Atlanta.
I can't wait till we get to ECW. Like, when are we going to get there?
Okay, I'll be quick enough. Went to Atlanta, the Superstation, Channel 17.
WCW, maybe. Love it.
Yeah.
World Championship. 6:05 Eastern.
Yeah, exactly.
Eastern.
And then stayed there for a while. And with TBS, stayed there till about 91, I guess. And then I went to WWF. Oh, ask me about any of the bosses there.
Well, WCW, exactly. So who was the head boss there? Was it Dusty at that time?
Yeah, Dusty was the.
So you ended up going back and working for Dusty by that. So it's full circle.
Yes.
So
oh
talk
my
about
God,
that.
I was in already.
So talk about it going full circle at that point.
Yeah.
We get back with Dusty, having all the new experience. What did Dusty think about you when he saw you again working for him? What was different? What was that transition like?
It felt natural, and Dusty had trained me, so I was really good at my job. I mean, really outstanding at my job. So it was just a natural progression, and you know, we felt comfortable with each other, and it was doing me a favor, giving me a job, making freaking Ted Turner money.
And what about at that point? Did Dusty, was he harder on you because you had more experience now? He expected more?
No, he had a big ship to run. I was one of his last things to worry about. Yeah, I mean,
if anything, you were helping him deal with stuff he didn't need to deal with.
Exactly.
Right?
He delegated a lot
what was
of
he
stuff, and I
delegating
liked
to
it.
What did he delegate to you at that time?
Running the dressing rooms, meeting him one time for 20 minutes, and sitting down and having a production meeting, and him doing his own thing, and say, okay, Fonzie, go and tell everybody what they got to do. Any problems, come see me. Never a problem.
So you had all the finishes and stuff? Is that what you're taking
Yes.
back there? Wow, that's a big job.
Yeah,
You have to remember
and the guys were professional.
Would he give you like a piece
No,
of paper?
after a while, no. I would just memorize it.
Wow, that's amazing.
My brain wasn't frazzled like it is now. You know, my brain was young and smart and, you know, witty. Now it's, you know, been through some trauma.
You said it, I didn't. You take chair shots?
Yeah, I've had like maybe 4 or 5 major good concussions.
Oof.
Busted open, stitches all on my head. It was terrible. But, you know, not compared to the wrestlers and,
Right.
you know, but
Were those all in ECW?
most of them were, but,
Right.
you know, and
So let's get back on track. So you're working
Okay.
for Dusty in WCW, and it's great because now you're full circle. The guy that helps you even bust into the business,
yes,
and then you end up.
I was blessed.
Who else was running stuff there? Who else would you answer to other than Dusty?
J.J. Dillon.
He's great. You gotta love him, right?
I love J.J.
Yeah, of course. He's a sweetheart, and he loved wrestling.
Sweetheart, yes,
loved
he
pro
did.
wrestling.
It was very good.
Yeah, and he had all that experience from WWF.
He was assistant booker down here in Florida with Dusty
Mhm.
a long time, so that's how I knew him, and I got along good. And we went to Vince too.
Yeah, and if you see those, by the way, for people watching the video, if you see those CWF fan fests that happen in Tampa, I suggest you go to them because you meet people like J.J. Dillon and Jerry Briscoe. They go to them and they're very accessible to the
In
fans that come.
fact,
It's
J.J.
amazing.
Dillon was my go-to guy when we left WCW and went to WWF. Giant Gonzalez, you guys know that I was his personal assistant for 3 years.
Yeah, we know the stories.
And, oh yeah? So,
Parental
Jim
advisories.
Hurd, he was
Yeah.
the head of a big Pizza Hut company or something. Somehow he got to be like the CEO or the big shot at WCW. Dusty but he ran the business part of it or whatever. Jim Hurd.
Yeah, he's best known for actually walking out of a limo on a camera. That's the only thing we
Right.
know about it. They show a B-roll, 3 seconds of him getting out of a limo as some red carpet and smiling. That's the only thing we know about Jim Hurd.
Yeah,
And that he's a pizza guy.
right, Pizza Hut.
So, kids, if you want to be a pro wrestling CEO, start at Domino's. Back to you.
But what happened was the Giant and I were on contract, and Giant was making $250 a year for his first year.
And we're still in WCW at this
Yeah, Ted Turner Home Entertainment. $250 the first year, $350 next year, and $450 the next year, whatever, something like that. And mine went up a little bit too, but not that big. And Jim Hurd wanted us to take a pay cut for the next contract. And Giant said, "Hey, Fonzie, they want me to take it's the same pay, no increase like the contract says." He says, "Do you know anybody in WWF?" I said, "Yeah, I know J.J. Dillon. He's Vince's right-hand man, and I've worked with him for years, and he loves me." He says, "Call him up and tell him what our dilemma is, that I don't want to stay in WCW and make the same, take a pay increase because Jim Hurd wants to tighten the belt." So I called J.J. Dillon. I haven't talked to him in 4 years. We've been in different territories. So So I called JJ and get a secretary and say, hey, this is Bill Alfonso. I want to talk to JJ, please. So JJ came right on the phone pretty quick, and we talked. I said, this is the problem. They want us to take a pay cut, and we want to know if Vince is interested, or we could go to Japan, or he can go and play basketball in Argentina and make good money. But if you're interested, he said, well, let me talk to Vince. I'll run it by Vince and tell him what's up. We'll get back with you if Vince likes it. So an hour later, JJ calls and says, hey, Vince loves it. He wants you guys to fly up tomorrow. There's tickets for you, first class.
Went to his house, right?
Right to the limo, picked us up, took us right to his house. We had a discussion, and we both signed contracts right there.
So before that happened, you're working for, you're working for Dusty and then Turner.
Yes.
What was? Did you ever meet Ted Turner? Was there ever?
Not once.
No. Okay. Just
not once.
So we'll leave him out of this. We'll just say he was a great boss because he provided millions of dollars to the boys.
I'd say that.
We'll
yeah. I hear nothing but good things. You know, it's good for the environment, economy.
I never complain about what happened.
Right. He's married to Jane Fonda, who I think was hot.
All right. So now we're at WWF. Now you're working for Vince McMahon. He has a few people around him.
I love Vince McMahon.
All right. So let's start with the people around him. Who would you say the two top people around him at that time were? Was it Pat Patterson and Briscoe at that time, or maybe like
Briscoe had a good spot, but he wasn't like one of the main guys. He was one of the ages, but pretty good damn spot.
Mm-hmm.
JJ, I mean, Vince always had a couple of assistants, bookers, like J.J. Dillon was assistant. He has a lot of guys around now. It's Triple H,
all right, here's what we're gonna do.
the daughter, and
Bill. So you gotta lose one, and you gotta lose one. You gotta save one.
Right.
One of the people he worked with that he delegate stuff to, and that you had to deal with. Who would you like to just kind of not have to work with, and who would you like to make sure you kept working with? You got to pick one and pick one.
I'd lose Pat Patterson.
Okay.
I like Pat. Hell of a worker. Oh my God, nice guy. I love Pat, but
Okay, who would you save? If you had to save one of them, make sure they stuck around with you.
J.J. Dillon.
Awesome.
Because I know JJ, so it's a conflict of interest. I like JJ because he's my friend and we get along, we work together. Plus, it kind of secure my job a little better. He's not going to fire me because I'm his friend and fire somebody else. So, and Pat was okay. It was very workable.
Okay. So now with Vince
Nice
McMahon, what would you say your toughest experience was with Vince? Maybe you learned something and it helped you grow with him, but what was your toughest experience that you remember with Vince?
No tough experience because Vince made it easy. Vince generally liked me, and Vince doesn't talk to a lot of the underneath talent. Not that not underneath, but the more general guys. He's more with the superstar guys. But anyway, we were doing the first Monday Night Raw at the Manhattan Center in New York. First Monday Night Raw, it was 20 or 30 years ago. I was on it, so I thought. I said, damn, I'm going to dress nice. I went and bought some really nice suit and had Louis Vuitton luggage. I had a fucking Rolex on. Went into the building. There's Vince at ringside because we do like a rehearsal. And so Vince is there. All the wrestlers are there. I'm walking in. I look good. And Vince takes a look at me. He calls all the other referees over and says, hey, I want you guys to dress like Fonzie's dress from now on. So I got heat with the other referees for dressing nice.
But
but I like that,
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I don't have blonde hair and weigh 280 pounds with, Big Python's daddy.
Well, that's what I was a little upset about, Bill. What do you think about this?
Nice.
I was saying I'd love to learn to be a referee, just like our officiate Kent, who's part of Turnbuckle.
Oh, I like Kent. Yeah,
but I hear that most of the guys in NXT and WWE are former workers. Then you guys becoming referees, they're all built. They've got all muscles. They're about 5'5", 5'6", 5'7", and they're all built. And it's like they're all former workers. You can't just become a Earl Hebner or a Bill Alfonso protege.
Okay, here's the problem with that. There's only so many jobs, referee jobs, that you can make any kind of living on the planet. And there's hundreds of us out there. So being in the right place at the right time, knowing somebody, how I got in. The guy had a flat tire and had the 3 main events, and Dusty fired him because they had a flat tire with no spare.
How did you end up?
And they hired me that next day, and I've been in business 30 years.
So how did you end up going from Vince McMahon's WWF to ECW? Like, how long were you working for Vince before you went there, and how did you?
I almost worked with Vince 3 years. I came in right after WrestleMania 8. I did WrestleMania 9, and I left right before 10.
That was at Caesar's Palace in
Yeah, it
Vegas.
was pretty cool. I got my biggest payday ever.
And that was such a cool event for, again, Giant Gonzalez looked great in the sun and just so big.
Yeah, it was a great production.
Really
That's where they have the big boxing matches from Muhammad Ali to
have you ever seen
Mayweather.
Have you ever seen that
MMAs?
That whatever you call it, stadium or the Coliseum? You ever seen it without the way that WrestleMania dressed it up? It looks like crap. And Vince McMahon looked at it a year before and said that we can turn this into an amazing. And he built that entire set, and that's a great story. I forgot where I heard that.
Camels, it was good.
Really cool. So how did you end up going to ECW? Did you already know Paul from WCW?
I knew Paul from Florida Championship Wrestling in the early '80s. He came down with a guy named Tombstone from Baltimore as
911. Or was Tombstone? Was 911 Tombstone before that? Or
no, two different guys.
Okay.
And Tombstone didn't work that much. He had a great body though. He was friends with
Mark's
Paul
going to
Heyman.
help me have it for that one, but it's okay.
And Paul Heyman came down. I was assistant booker with Bob Roop in Florida in the mid '90s or something, and I met Paul then. Helped him get a job a little bit, and we became friends. We worked together in WCW in Atlanta, and then he called me when I left WWF for the ECW gig.
Okay, and then so you work for Paul now.
Well, how I got there real quick is Vince was cutting the talent a little bit. Say he had 300 guys on payroll, he's going to cut 75 of them to get the budget down a little bit because they weren't selling out every arena, and then when things picked back up, you get hired back. So I was one of the ones on the cut list. So Vince said, "Hey Fonzo, sorry we got to cut you, but we do shows in Florida, we use you, and when things pick it back up, you be the first one back in." And he gave me a nice severance package pay for,
That's great.
So I went home. I was home like a month, driving a tractor, cutting my fucking mom's orange grove, and my mom comes out and says, "Billy, Paul Heyman's on the phone, wants to talk to you." So I came in, and I haven't talked to Paul in years. And he's a big shot in Philadelphia with ECW. I didn't know anything about ECW because I just came off a big tour with WWF for 3 years and WCW, so I was, rolling. So I talked to Paul, he says, "Hey, I got this, I heard you left WWF. I said, "Yeah." He says, "I got this company, ECW, I want you to fly up and do a couple of things, work for a few weeks, a little angle, help us." And that's how I got there. And I was supposed to come in for 6 weeks. At the end of the 6 weeks, get choke slammed by 911, and then I was out. Then they carry on. But Paul was such a genius and right place at the right time in ECW, and what Paul gave me kind of took off and got better and got heat, and it was a good part of the show. So I ended up staying 5 years instead of 6 weeks.
So you
love Paul Heyman.
Bill, you were the Jesse Pinkman of ECW. You were supposed to be gone by the 3rd episode, but you were there until the season finale.
Right.
Just like Breaking Bad.
Right place at the right time. My character got over. And,
regular Aaron Paul. But you have better teeth and hair than him.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
And I was on top for the whole 5 years, so that was really nice. And I had the best time in my whole career. The best time. I didn't make the biggest money, but made
so let's
good
talk
money.
about Paul. We're doing good boss,
Love
bad
Paul.
boss. So I know you love him, but I know he had something bad. Something that made him tough.
Oh yeah, a lot of people can say bad things about Paul Heyman, but not me. I got a few things that happened to shoot. But,
so one good thing, one bad thing.
A good thing is Paul was a good friend and treated me, gave me a nice spot, and worked with me. And gave me the biggest payday. Vince, WrestleMania paid me my biggest payday, and then Paul Heyman matched that. He says, "Fonzie, I don't know what to pay you."
This is a Paul Heyman protege right here. He's just blurring the lines and just he's actually putting Paul over here. If you could read between.
Yeah, because it's a shoot. Paul said, "Fonzie, I don't know what to pay you. We did a pay-per-view, barely legal. You're on top with Taz, and went to Van Dam and Sabu." I said, "Well, pay me the same thing Vince paid me at WrestleMania." He said, "Okay, how much was it?" I said, 10 grand. He said, "Well, I can't pay you." But he paid me anyway. Gave me a great payday.
All right, so
on the first pay-per-view.
What's the tough thing about Paul that was to deal with for you on a regular basis?
Being the promoter, especially in ECW in that time and that age and that format and that hardcore thing, being the booker and promoter, you had to be, I don't want to use the word shady, but you had to be a little
Carly.
a little bit, you know, it was hard because say we were making $3 million a year, we were spending $4 million a year to pay all the guys in production and rent buildings and the ring and all that. But it was good. Paul Heyman wasn't a business. He was, but wrestling was his gimmick. But he took all the pressure and put it on one guy. He should have delegated out.
Okay, so
it wasn't so truthful all the time.
After ECW,
I don't blame him for that. He had to, you know, shuffle a little bit.
So Bill, after ECW, was pretty much independent promotions from there. Just
I've done very little independence because I don't. Not that I don't like them. I like being around the guys because when I walk into independent, most of the guys, oh, Fonzie, I used to watch you when I was a kid. Okay, but it's flattering. It's all young guys that really hasn't been nowhere. I mean, haven't had the break. And there's only so many spots. There's 300 spots for wrestlers in Orlando and Vince, and there's 1,000 of us that are trying to get a job, and they're really good. So if somebody breaks their leg, there's somebody that can fill it like that.
Very cool. So,
kind
of some of the promoters you worked with, the independent circuit, a good experience, bad experience? Because I know that there's a lot of bad out there, but there has to be some good. There's definitely some good guys out there.
You know a promoter named Howard Brody?
I don't, but that's a good thing. If I don't know him, that means that he hasn't done anything shitty to anyone.
Well,
that I know of anyway.
He was something to do with the NWA, like the president or something, but this was, and he was a little indie promoter, but a little snaky, a little, promoters can be bad. But anyway, I slapped him.
I saw that video. Since you brought it up, let's get your take on it, because I've never heard you talk about it before, to be honest.
About the Howard Brody?
The guy that that basically lied to you and basically stole money from you, right? And he wouldn't pay you and stuff like that. What was that all about?
Oh, that was
I know
totally different thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a good guy.
Yeah, I know you personally. You're a sweetheart. So for that guy to upset you that much, he must have been.
Yeah. So what it was, I was friends with this guy. He was a friend of mine, and he worked at Applebee's. And they wanted to go to Orlando to a Dixie Carter show at the Universal, and I was doing that pay-per-view there with Van Dam and Sabu, and it was all ECW guys. It was one of the highest rated pay-per-views they've had, Dixie Carter. So they wanted to go, and I said, okay, you guys, I'll get you in, and then you're on your own. I'm at this hotel. They got a room for me, but so on the way to the show, one guy says, oh, I don't have no cash. Can you cash this check for me? And I had, I cashed the check for him. I gave him some money. I didn't even want the check. And he didn't pay me back. And I told him once in a while, I said, hey, you owe me $250. I gave you two $100 bills and a 50. That wasn't a gift, brother. And finally I seen him, and I just said, hey, I want my money. He was avoiding me.
Yeah.
So we had a little incident. Lucky I didn't go to jail. I was going to beat his ass. He was huge too, Daddy. I said, what the fuck am I doing? Challenging this guy. But I was in the right. I don't care. This guy could have hit me and weighed 300 pounds. I wouldn't have sold him because I was right and he was wrong. Right. He owed me money. He was trying to,
Don't get hot. Don't get hot, Bill.
Fucker.
Don't get hot.
Daddy.
Okay, Bill, we got to get you a good PR agent so we can get that video removed from YouTube immediately.
What? Is it a bad thing?
Well, it shows that you can't be a snake promoter and get away with it, even with the smallest guy in the room.
All right, Daddy.
So, promoters, just saying. I'm not going to beat you up, but, So,
yeah, it was one of those things.
So that's probably, we'll just leave that as the bad one. How about a good one? What's a good experience with the independent promoters? Who's a guy that you had a good time, a good promotion, you had a good time with lately, the last 5-10 years? Say last 5 years.
Generally, all the little indies that I do, which isn't a lot because I don't like to do them because they can't meet a talent fee. How can they pay me a few $100s and they only have 120 people in the audience? My talent fee is something. It's not free, but so that's why I don't do them. But the ones that I do, all the promoters are usually really cool to me, real cool. lay out the red carpet for me. So
here's an idea for promoters, Bill.
you generally mean well.
Bill, I have an idea.
If they fuck up, it's not on purpose.
I have an idea for promoters.
Okay.
How about this? So the ticket's $10, right?
Right.
Something
Which
like
is
that.
cool.
And let's say you've got 100 people. That's you can't pay like a top tier talent to come in if you only got 100 people and you're charging $10 a ticket because you got to
Right.
pay everybody else. You got to put the show on.
The building,
But
you know,
you can have it right on the
security.
ticket. And whenever you bring in a
Nice.
top guy, let's say you bring in RVD or you bring in a Bill Alfonso,
RVD's 10 grand.
or you
right?
bring in you bring in somebody with a name. You put on the ticket $10, and then you put, let's say, $5 Bill Alfonso tax or $5 RVD tax, and they know that they're paying extra money to see a big name.
So pass it on to the consumer.
Well, the consumer pays for the name,
Right.
for the big
No,
name.
no, that's.
But they
that's-
itemize it on the ticket. The admission is $10, but the RVD tax is $5.
Yeah. So if they're that's pretty cool. That's a cool business concept.
Why not? Okay. So
It'll
now
work in
you're
the indies. It'll work in indies.
now you're a
I
freelancer.
think.
You don't work for anyone. Now you just hang out. You do stuff with Turnbuckle Trash Talk. You do signings. We hung out at the bowling alley. You doing charity for kids and stuff like that, and giving stuff away to the children.
Yeah, and I like doing these
Yeah, you do
conventions.
everything.
A few times a year, pretty cool. They got one coming up in Charlotte. I'm looking forward to.
You going to it?
I think so.
All right, plug it.
I'm talking to the guy. Yeah.
Plug it real quick. All right, don't.
I'm not
don't-
talking to the
yeah.
guy called.
Oh yeah, we'll plug it on the next one then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've done those in the past. Charlotte's a good wrestling town, but yeah, I'm pretty cool.
No, that's gonna be it. That was Talking Trash. That's the whistleblower Bill
Talking
Alfonso.
trash, Daddy.
I'm the legal man, Marc Charles. Thank you guys.